Hi everyone. For this particular video, I wanted to respond to something that happened last night in regards to LUS, where LUS is being attacked by Karl Jobst. Karl Jobst is not at the moment attempting to sue LUS, but trying to report his channel to YouTube and YouTube partner. And LUS got really upset and did a 3-hour live stream talking about it. So I wanted to talk about that, but I also wanted to talk about a couple of things that happened during the stream, most notably when Gen X, someone who is very bigoted and who has supported Karl repeatedly in the past, went on to LUS's stream to show his support to LUS and effectively turn coat. So there's some hypocrisy there. But also a second event where LUS decides to talk about Karl Jobst racism. Finally, only after Karl is attacking LUS, does LUS decide to actually speak out about racism, which, as I'm going to explain in this video, we can't wait for that. We have to get ahead of these kinds of things before they become a larger problem. We have to address them systemically, and LUS just isn't willing to do that. But LUS, they are willing to call Karl out for being racist on stream in front of a large audience. So we're going to talk about both of those things, and we're also going to talk a little bit more about Karl's racism. And I have everything set up here, so all we have to do is go through these community posts that I made. I have screen caps, though. The way that the screen caps work with community posts is it will crop them, and when it crops them, it destroys the rest of the image. So there are places, there's all of my research is on a separate page. So if you go here to this post, which I'll have in the description, you can have access to all of the undestroyed images. The images not destroyed by YouTube's community post system. In any event, let's get started. There's a bit to go over here. So first and foremost, so apparently Karl is attacking LUS for LUS's coverage of Karl, which Karl thinks is ban-worthy. LUS got really mad and did a 3-hour live stream talking about it. So if we click on this, here's the live stream that I'm talking about. Karl Jobst threatens to report my channel to YouTube and YouTube partner. This is streamed 16 hours ago, so 5/16/2025. And this is a live stream where LUS...
No, we are going to dissect Karl Jobst one paragraph at a time. So
LUS is not happy with Karl, right? So they're turning on each other. The token moderate is being attacked by the white fash, the crypto fascist specifically. So that's what's happening here. And I was there during the stream itself. But in any event, yeah, 3-hour live stream with LUS where they talk about quite a bit. A couple of things to note in this stream. Around 4444, Gen X Gamer YouTube, a person who originally asked Karl to sue me because I called Gen X token, specifically this video here by Gen X Gamer, sue me, Karl Jobst, and Gen X Gamer calls me racist. Karl Jobst, biggest hater, doesn't shower, and a fraud. So anytime you have a bigoted person like Gen X Gamer, they'll project all of the criticism that they receive onto the people they attack. So he says, I'm Karl Jobst's biggest hater, and that he wants Karl Jobst to sue me, and that I'm a racist grifter. So keep those three things in mind, because in this stream by LUS, what ends up happening is LUS critiques Karl for being racist, for suing LUS or attacking LUS and trying to get his channel taken down in bad faith. And as someone who used to be a fan of Karl Jobst, but is no longer because Karl Jobst is attacking LUS. So Gen X gamer, what ends up happening is he shows up in Karl's or LUS's stream about Karl. So let's see, how do we, oh, if we open the panel here,
Wife is going to jail too.
And we look at the timestamps, here's Gen X Gamer saying the company owns channel and he didn't buy the liability insurance for defamation. OMG, bad move. Not financial advice, LOL. Thanks for all the content. So Gen X Gamer is showing up and donating money to LUS, and if you scroll back a little bit, LUS is like, oh wow, thanks, and saying, hey, go support Gen X and stuff like that. But Gen X is a racist person who wanted Karl to sue me, a minority, for speaking out about Gen X being bigoted, and then Gen X is showing up, despite calling me racist, he's showing up and speaking on LUS's channel, where LUS is literally calling Karl out for being racist. So Gen X is about as bad faith and hypocritical as you can get. Also, another thing I said back when Gen X wanted Karl to sue me, I said, Karl isn't suing anyone, he's broke. That was the same thing that LUS said in regards to Karl. Karl can't sue anyone. He doesn't have any money. He's literally just filed for bankruptcy. So notice how quickly Gen X changes his tune, because Gen X doesn't believe in anything. He's a token bigot, and he's showing up and, you know, cozying up to LUS when it's just the reality that Gen X is, you know, a token bigot. So there's that. That's the first thing that happens. But then there's a second thing that happens. So around 1:28:36, LUS, after some prodding by me in the audience, brings up Karl's racism, including examples of Karl's racist behavior I hadn't seen before. So if we click on that,
I did not want to.
oh yeah, one second. If we open the panel,
Or he can strike the channel under false, and I will sue you, Karl. You think it's all laughs and jokes, right? And that's, I mean, when Billy Mitchell said he was going to sue you, I bet you thought you were too smart for that. Also, Karl, I didn't want to bring this up, Karl. I did not want to bring this up. Pickup artist. Okay, that's not what I want. Where it is. Where?
So there's my YouTube video. Karl Jobst is racist. Karl Jobst still racist in 2025. Come on, click on it. Click on LUS.
Where is it? It's in YouTube drama somewhere. Karl says I'm harassing him. Karl, you've harassed a whole group of individuals.
So you have other people besides me saying bring it up, and you've harassed a whole group of individuals, Karl. So LUS is talking about Karl's racism. He won't say the word racist, but it's what he's talking about.
A whole group of individuals, Karl. Oh, here. Karl will come after your family after I beat you. This. Karl Pay, blah, blah, blah. Delays explanation video. Hey, did they delete it? Oh, here we go. I didn't want to go here, Karl, but you forced me to go here. You forced me to do it, Karl. Again, this is not me. This is Reddit. Okay? Karl, I want you today to tell me this is false. Tell me this is false information, Karl. Your wife is Asian, Karl. The blanks were effed in World War II. The blanks killed 10 million civilians.
Now, notice how here LUS isn't saying, oh, well, this is in the past, right? Because this screen cap is from, June 2017. And LUS is no longer saying, oh, well, this is past behavior. he's like, no, I want you to say that this isn't or isn't true. He's not giving him the benefit of the, they aren't giving Karl the benefit of the doubt anymore. And they're actually calling Karl out for racism, and not just against people of color, but also, Asian people. And so this is something where LUS is actually, pulling up evidence, and they're not saying, oh, well, this is fake. They're not trying to discredit this. They're actually using it to go after Karl. See the shoes on the other foot. So now suddenly LUS changes their standards. So this is the kind of moderacy that I was talking about in regards to LUS, where now suddenly LUS wants to talk about racism, and they acknowledge that they knew about it beforehand, which we'll get into, and now they use this kind of thing.
The annual festival in Surin, Thailand features amazing hard labor performed by what trained animals? Tigers, chimps, no. Sharks, no. Children, no. Blank, no. Laugh my ass off. Blank, no. What Karl say? What the fuck did Karl say? Karl, what do you say? What did you say, Karl? How can we make this bigger? Fuck it. We download it. Karl, I got receipts on you, buddy. And I didn't want to do this, but I have no choice. What did Karl say? Guys, can you... Someone who married an Asian woman, a Chinese woman, she was born in China. Okay, she was born in China. We have the legal documents. We have the legal documents showing she was born in China, unless she lied. Okay? And lying on a legal document is illegal. Come on, let's not do this, Karl. Let's not do this.
No, let's do it. So LUS is actually, for a moment, in a 3-hour stream, they devote a certain amount of time to talking about Karl and Karl's racism, and it's about, I don't know, about maybe 10 minutes, if that, where they talk about Karl's racism. But they actually talk about it. It's not the sole topic of what they talk about, but they do mention it, and they do bring up evidence, and they call out Karl for only picking up white women, for instance, but they also mention that Karl married a Chinese woman, so the mail order bride, basically. And LUS does talk about that explicitly, and so just keeping all of that in mind, this is what I wrote in regards to all of that. So props to LUS for mentioning Karl's racism, and shame on Gen X for turning coat. But reactionaries don't believe in anything but power as something to steal. That being said, LUS also spent a lot of the stream asking Billy Mitchell to show Karl mercy. To be fair, it's more for Karl's wife and son, but all the same, the human shield approach still applies, i.e. get married, use spouse as shield from criticism. And while I think preventative justice is what we need to push forwards, or towards, moving away from punitive justice in the US and elsewhere, the fact remains that LUS, talking about family values, and defending one's family seemingly no matter what, was demonstrating just how non-impartial they were. Like, to the degree that LUS said repeatedly that they didn't want to discuss Karl's racism, but that Karl had left LUS no choice. That's the cover for each other approach that leads to the heads of different families to only criticize one another if they attack each other, to turn a blind eye, in other words. And that's largely what LUS has been doing with Karl, i.e. being neutral in their own words, and feeling betrayed by Karl because of Karl attacking LUS anyways. In other words, LUS knows that Karl has been racist, but has been hesitant to discuss it because Karl, like LUS, is a father, a family man. And because of this, LUS has largely been keeping quiet about Karl's racism, RE being neutral in their coverage of Karl. My fellow GNC person, even if you keep quiet about it, it's still there. And now Karl is attacking you in bad faith. Stop defending racist people like him, RE by keeping quiet even part of the time about racism. You spend all this time during the stream saying that Karl's bad news, including puzzling over his willingness to go after other people's families despite you protecting him, except the answer is right in front of you and always has been. Karl is fascist, which perfectly explains his behavior. But you're still trying to Return of the Jedi his ass, appealing to him in good faith, debating the Nazi in other words. They're still gooding you, Karl. I can feel it. My dude, Karl is fascist and has been fascist alt-right, and has fascist alt-right friends, RE, our white goose, but also Notch. Stop covering for Karl, LUS. And these are just screen caps from the videos here. Furthermore, on that note, here's more evidence of Karl Jobst being racist, which LUS knew about, i.e. saying, hey, did they delete it when searching for the below image, then insisting, I didn't want to go here, Karl, you forced me to do this. So we've already looked at that. This information has been available for years, and keeping quiet only enables people like Karl to stew in their own bigotry, read echo chambers. Scolding him after he's gone toxic ain't gonna do shit, LUS, and now Karl's attacking you, which not only enabled by funding his defense, but also you for covering for him too. Fascists are loyal to no one but themselves. Don't debate Nazis. And the source, YouTube, r/YouTube drama, racist screenshots of Karl, the N-word has no racist connotation in Australia. Jobst has never addressed. And, here's the link. You can go and click on that and see. Here's, the screen cap of that image. I've censored out the slurs, but, you can go and see them uncensored for yourself. So yeah, this whole thing where LUS is still playing defense for Karl. He doesn't want to be the whistleblower, and he doesn't want to blow. They don't want to be the LUS. They them. A gender nonconforming Asian person doesn't want to blow the whistle on Karl Jobst, a fascist, specifically a crypto-fascist white Australian man with a token Asian wife. LUS still doesn't really want to go all in and blow the whistle on this guy. They are, but they're doing it like quietly. They're like just barely blowing the whistle. It's like that scene from Titanic when Rose is trying to blow on the whistle, but they're dying of hypothermia basically, so they really can't. So in this case, LUS is equally chilled insofar as they're like, oh, I don't want to blow the whistle on Karl, but because they want to stay neutral. They want to be neutral, and they want to be the token Asian gender nonconforming lawyer, and they don't want to do it. But in doing that, they're protecting Karl. Even here, they're still holding back. And the point I'm making is that you don't want to hold back. You don't want to do that, because LUS is like, oh, I'm doing this to protect Karl's wife and kid. And I'm like, no, you want to expose Karl for being a bad person so that his wife leaves him. Like, you don't want to, it's not actually defending a battered housewife by defending the husband. That's my point. Racist or not. But if someone is beating up their wife, chances are they're racist, right, LUS? So you're not actually defending the wife in this situation. You're defending the status quo by refusing to go after Karl Jobst as aggressively as you have, and also by, refusing to look into people like Gen X who are token themselves. It's like one hand washes the other, and you can't do that. You have to be willing to blow the whistle, and when you do it, you have to blow it loud and repeatedly. You can't just do it quietly once and then just kind of expect that to be enough. because this is going to keep happening. Karl is going to keep attacking you, and not just you. In your own video here, your own stream, you acknowledge that Karl is going after other people with families. So you're not like this isn't helping you, but it's also not helping other people. And all you're really doing is virtue signaling. You know, you're white knighting this, and you're like, no, 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 Karl, you shouldn't do that. And you're calling for mercy. You know, it's the Merchant of Venice, where it's that idea of Christian mercy, and that it's not typical, and that you call for that to get brownie points, and you ask Billy Mitchell to show mercy to Karl Jobst, and you care more about displays, individual displays of charity, than you do challenging systemic issues like racism and sexism and queerphobia and just any other bigotry that Karl demonstrably shows, and people adjacent to Karl like Gen X who showed all of them. Just go to my channel to see all of those videos. Incidentally, here, if we go to my channel, I have all of these videos where I talk about that. I call you out, and I call Gen X for being intra-racially bigoted, you know, attacking members of his own community who are non-white, and also showing porn to his audience on YouTube. I talk about Gen X going mask off, dead-naming me, misgendering my friends, slut-shaming, and attacking service workers, attacking poor people, and apologizing for rape, specifically my rape. You know, so this is someone that you endorsed on your stream, LUS. Maybe you should look into that. Gen X is anti-sex work. I go into that. LUS, I've talked about your tokenism before. I've talked about Gen X being queerphobic, Gen X being racist, and Karl Jobst being racist. So I've talked about all of this at length. You know, these videos are not short, and most of them aren't short. The ones about LUS I've kept shorter just because, you know, it's like initially I just wanted to kind of mention it, like, hey, you know, LUS, you're kind of token, kind of, you know, giving them the benefit of the doubt. And the more I look into it, the more I realize that LUS is defending fascists. You know, in this video, he says that Notch seems like an okay guy. Well, okay, here's a question for you. Do you still think that Notch is an okay guy for funding the defense of Karl Jobst, someone who is attacking you? Has your opinion changed at all? Or do you still think that Notch is okay? Ignoring all the other stuff in regards to Notch being racist, sexist, and alt-right billionaire who paid for Karl Jobst's defense, ignoring all of that, and just in regards to how they treated you specifically, do you still think that Notch is okay? Would you, if someone attacked you and your family, went after your mother, and all of that, your opinion of them is going to lower, right? You're going to tone police them. Well, will you tone police Notch, who this entire time has been enabling the very people who are attacking you and your family, or are you just going to keep quiet about it? So that's my question to LUS. We'll see what they say, because this is, the lid is blown off at this point, and they've crossed the Rubicon, and it can only, depending on how you look at it, go uphill or downhill from here, depending on whose side of the conflict you're on. All that being said, if you are curious about more information about this, you can go to this post. This is the Safe for Work version on my old blog, Karl Jobst Still Racist and Fashion 2025, and this has a table of contents, a summary, full list of evidence, token defenders of Karl, further notes on Karl's community, analyzing the evidence, and conclusion. And this goes over a list of videos and essays and various things that I've written and filmed in regards to Karl Jobst. This is the image where Gen X showed my porn on his YouTube channel, so there's that. I've censored it even more just so, you know, it's Google friendly, because otherwise, you know, Google would censor this post. But and if we scroll down, you know, I talk about different things about Gen X. So if you want to learn about how they're bigoted, there's a lot of information about that. And I get really down into the weeds about that. Yeah, this is all dedicated to that. But I also talk about, other people who associated with the same community, like Caleb Hart, who got Barbie. I'm trying to see their Barbie Edge. Carl, not Carl, Caleb got Barbie Edge pregnant, and then when Barbie asked him for help in regards to the pregnancy, he got his lawyer mom and dad to coerce Barbie into silence. So there's even a point in LUS's video where he says that judges aren't cops, lawyers aren't cops. Lawyers can absolutely police other people, and this is an instance of that. If you're curious, there's more information about that. I've written, entire book chapters about Caleb Hart. So if you want to read about that, there are links and things. But we scroll down. There's even more stuff about Gen X, just because Gen X is a real piece of crap. And this talks about Smash AT and specifically Razor Fist, and so I talk about other people that LUS and Gen X and Karl Jobst, they're all part of the same group, the larger umbrella. So Smash JT and Razor Fist, and Razor Fist is a pedophile, and Smash JT is distancing himself from Razor Fist and trying to imply that Razor Fist is on the left, not on the right. So Smash JT is someone who is a really awful person, and there's all kinds of stuff like that. We scroll down, there's just more evidence. Looking at the evidence in regards to Karl, again, Karl doing the Nazi salute on his own Discord, which I've mentioned this one repeatedly over and over and over, and LUS won't mention that. He won't actually critique the Nazi salute. He won't actually critique billionaires who defend people who do the Nazi salute. So there's more instances of that. Talking about our white goose, talking about Urcats, and Urcats, despite the fact that they're for freeing Palestine, which is based, they are someone who's attacking a judge, which is something that LUS isn't good about. So these are like friends of, again, LUS doesn't stand for anything. They're just more moderate and less reactionary than Gen X is, but now they're getting a taste of their own medicine because Karl is attacking them. Here's an image of Karl and Karl's wife, and here's my coverage specifically about what I'm talking about here. And so if you want all of that and more, it's all here for you to find. And I update this constantly. Whenever there's a new development, it goes onto this post. So yeah, that's everything. LUS, stop being a token moderate who defends Karl, because that makes you racist by extension, ipso facto. If you defend a fascist person, that makes you fascist ipso facto. If a fascist person is racist and you're calling for mercy for that person, or at least trying to ask for them not to face any consequences for their actions, you're defending them. You're playing devil's advocate. Stop doing that. How far does this have to go before you realize that you're defending someone who's racist in a way that is going to affect you and your family? It's affecting you and your family right now, but also other people as well. Karl doesn't just attack you. So stop doing that. In any event, that's the video. And if you like it, like, share, and subscribe, that kind of thing. I'm going to keep everyone posted on this kind of stuff. Stay tuned for more content. And in the meantime, stay safe out there.